In this video lesson, we are going to learn how to take a segment and then go ahead and divide it proportionally. So have your notebook ready and let's get started. Segment AB has endpoints of A at 3, 2 and B at 5, -2. So let's start there. Let's go ahead and draw a sketch of what this segment looks like. So we're going to call this point A and it's at 3, 2. And then we'll draw point B over here and it's at 5, -2. So my job is to find point P. So P is somewhere in between the endpoints of A and B, so that it divides the segment into a ratio of 3 to 5. Okay, so the scale factor, remember when we're dividing things proportionally, we have to think about the scale factor? And so my scale factor is 3 to 5. This 3 represents K1, and this 5 represents K sub 2. So those are my different scale factors. That's why we use the letter K, and we have 2 of them. I'm going to go back up to my point A, and this is going to be the X value from A and the Y value from A. So 3 is the X value from A, 2 is the Y value from A. 5 is my X value from B, so X sub B, and Y is, or -2 is my Y value from B. Well, here's this formula that we need to know in order to divide a segment proportionally. It says take your K1 value and multiply it by your XB value, plus take your K2 value and multiply it by your X sub A value, and then divide it by K1 plus K2. Now that gives you the X part of the point P. And so to find the Y one, we follow the same pattern. I'm going to take K1 times YB plus K2 times YA all over K1 plus K2. So this is really, really important for you to go ahead and put in your notebook. This is what we have to use in order to divide segments proportionally. So let's go ahead and plug in our values. K1 we know is right here, which is 3. So I'm going to take 3, XB, so my XB value is 5, so I'm going to take 3 times 5, plus my K2 value is 5, my XA value is 3, all over K1 plus K2, so 3 plus 5 is 8, comma. Let's go ahead and find the Y component of point P. So it's my K1 value, which is 3, times my YB value, which is -2, so I get that from right here, plus my K2 value, which is 5, times my YA value, which is 2, all over K1 plus K2, which will be 8. And now we can go ahead and simplify this. So on the X one, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 5 times 3 is 15, divided by 8, and we'll come simplify that in a second. My Y is going to be 3 times -2, which is 6, 5 times 2 is 10, all over 8. So 15 plus 15 is 30 over 8, comma, -6 plus 4, or 10, is 4 over 8. So my answer, I'm going to write this as a decimal. I'm going to go ahead and take 30 divided by 8, and I get 3.75. And 4 divided by 8, well, that's 1/2, so 0.5. So that's point P. Here's what this means. This point right here, 3.75 and 0.5, 3.75 and 0.5 divides this segment into the ratio of 3 to 5. So one thing that I could do to check it is I could find the distance of AP. So I'm going to go ahead and use the distance formula to find that. So it's going to be the square root of 3 minus 3.75 squared plus 2 minus 0.5 squared, and then take the square root of that. So you can go ahead and do that in your calculator. And what you should get is 1.677, we'll say. Well, I'm now going to go ahead and use the distance formula and find the distance of PB. So using the distance formula, it would be 5 minus 3.75 squared plus negative 2 minus 0.5 squared. So do my subtraction, square them, add them together, take the square root, and what you do get is 2.795. Well, if I were to take the 1.677 and divide it by 2.795, that's going to be the same as me taking 3 divided by 5. Those ratios are the same. So on your calculator, if you go ahead and take 1.677 and divide it by 2.795, you get 0.6. And 3 divided by 5 is also 0.6. So we have divided that segment proportionally, and point P is 3.75 and 0.5. Let's take a look at another one. I want you to try this. Segment AB has endpoints negative 4, 6, and B 5, 7, and I want you to find point P that divides the segment in a ratio of 3 to 4. So this is your practice time. Go ahead and pause the video, and when you have your solution, come back and let's see how you did. Welcome back. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a rough sketch here. Here's A, here's B. A is at negative 4, 6, and B is at 5, 7, and I have to find point P that divides it into the ratio of 3 to 4. So I know negative 4 is my XA, 6 is my Y sub A, 5 is my X sub B, and 7 is my Y sub B. 3 is my K1, and 4 is my K2. So I'm going to go ahead and plug it into my formula. I'm going to take K1, which is 3, times XB, which is 5, plus K2, which is 4, times XA, which is negative 4, divided by my K values added together, so 3 plus 4 is 7. To find the Y1, I'm going to take my 3, which is K1, times YB, which is 7, plus, I'm going to go ahead and take K1, which is 3, times my YA, which is 6, all divided by my K's added together, which is 7. So to simplify, I will end up with 15 plus negative 16 over 7, and then 21 plus 3 times 6 is 18 over 7. Well, this will be negative 1/7, and this will end up being 45 over 7, and I can leave my answer as a fraction or a decimal, it doesn't matter. But here is point P. So point P, if I were to plot negative 1/7, 45/7, that's going to split segment AB into the ratio of 3 to 4. And you can go ahead and check that with the distance formula, but there you go. All right, let's go ahead and try one more. Again, pause the video, and when you're done, come back and let's check to see how you did. Welcome back. Okay, so I'm going to start with my sketch. Here is A, which is at 2, 3. B is at 11, 4. And I need to find point P that divides it into the ratio of 1 to 4. So I'm going to label what all my points are and what my numeric values are. 2 is X sub A, 3 is Y sub A, 1 is K sub 1, 4 is K sub 2, 11 is X of B, and 4 is Y of B. So plugging it into my formula, I take my K1 value, which is 1, times my XB value, which is 11, plus my K sub 2 value is 4, my X of A value is 2, all over the K values added together, so 1 plus 4 is 5. Now to find the Y component, I take my K1, which is 1, times my YB value, which is 4, plus my K2 value, which is 4, times my Y value, my Y sub A value, which is 3, all over 5. So to simplify, I will end up with 11 plus 8 divided by 5, and then 4 plus 12 divided by 5. 11 plus 8 is 19 fifths, and 4 plus 12 is 16 over 5, so there is point P. So there you have it. That is how we find the formulas, or how we find points on a segment that divides the segment based on a given proportion. So I hope that helps, and good luck.